Welcome to the Mot Krid Show.
It's time to live hard. It's time to live
Welcome to the Mot Krid Show. I'm your host, Thomas Gallmeyer. Now, there has been a reason why we haven't done any field pieces lately. California wildfires are still raging, so air quality is at best poor. Here's a big thank you and shout out to all the firefighters who are so heroically fighting this fire, to all the volunteers rescuing animals. I know that the Humane Society of Ventura is always there to step in and take in injured and abandoned animals, and also the California Wildlife Center. They do great work. A heartfelt thank you to all of those who are working so hard to keep us safe. I frequently get asked the same question: what does Mot Krid stand for? Or what does it mean? So here's a short history of that name. About 5 years ago, when I finally decided to do a solo project, I talked to my childhood friend Dirk. We had a wild and crazy time growing up together, and to this day, we're still in touch. So he came up with the idea to reverse our first names, Tom and Dirk. Mot Krid. And that's the story behind the name. So here's a quick update on my song Addict to Amor with Cindy Gomez. Cindy was on a show called Gara Killers that airs in Guadalajara, Acapulco, Varadero, and has also been added to the Mexico City market. That's great new exposure for this song. Check it out on YouTube, get your copy on iTunes.
Cada esquina, aunque soy narcota, soy el mar. Bailo a ritmo de...
So here are a couple of thoughts on my weekly top 10. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, my idea for the weekly top 10 is to play 10 songs, 10 of my favorite songs I heard the previous week without any ratings 1 through 10. So there's no preference assigned to number 1 or number 10 or number 5. The lineup is determined by the most musical way I can mix those 10 songs together and create energy and create a cohesive flow that tells a story and sets the mood. And so that's how I approach my weekly top 10. This week's episode is heavily influenced by my passion for trance. I also found a handful of progressive house songs that I thought would fit really perfectly into this week's mix. We get started with an original tune by Protoculture, Laguna, and that lets us reload with Sebastian Ingrosso, Tommy Trash, and John Martin. In My Mind, that's where we find Ivan Go and Feenixpawl, and Martin Garrix and Moti give us Virus. Russian trance duo Craving is next with Legacy, and that plays us perfectly into Armin van Buuren and Mark Simex's Panta Ray. For ATB and Jess, it's Hard to Cure, and I'd like to give a shout out to Jess and her show Unleash the Beat. Thank you so much for featuring our song Let It Go on your show. And that's next with the Adam Turner remix. Knife Party tells us to begin again, and we close the set with Try Lucid and Departures. Go over to Mixcloud, turn up the volume, and enjoy this week's weekly top 10. Let us know what your favorite song was, subscribe, and tune back in next week for another all-new episode of Mot Krid's Weekly Top 10.